Good afternoon and welcome to our International Student webinar. I'd like to first of all introduce myself. My name is Stuart Kubra and I am the Student Recruitment Manager in the Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences. I'm joined by three of our international students from Canada, India and Kenya today, who are going to be able to answer your questions about their experience studying here at the University of Strathclyde and also their transition to studying in Glasgow. So first of all, I'm going to ask each of our students to do a quick introduction, and then we will start by going through some of our questions that we've received beforehand and then any live questions that we receive throughout today's webinar. So I'm going to start at my left, and Jessica, if you could do a short introduction, that would be lovely.
So I'm Jessica. I'm a Canadian student here doing a dual qualifying English and Scots graduate LLB program.
All right. So my name is Vedika and I'm from India. I've been studying the Masters in Clinical Health Psychology here.
My name is Brian Migoe from Kenya. I'm doing my postgraduate LLM in Human Rights here in Strathclyde.
Great. Okay, I'm going to start with hopefully quite an easy question for everyone. So I'm going to start with you, Vedika. Could you tell us why you chose Strathclyde?
I chose Strathclyde majorly because of my course and the way it was placed. It had 3 major modules and it wasn't concentrated on one, and then it just kept windows open for me. So it had a clinical aspect, a health aspect, and neurology, which was quite a rare combination for me to find anywhere, to be honest. So that was one major reason why I'm here.
Great. Good stuff. Brian?
Oh yes, I was much influenced by the greater faculty broad experience, and also the faculty model. It is wide enough to cover what expected, and at the same time it's one that gives one the broad aspect of what international human rights law is. So those are what really brought me to Strathclyde.
It's brilliant. Finally, Jessica.
So I chose Strathclyde. One of the main reasons was the dual qualifying LLB program. So doing an English and Scots law degree. I did this because it gave me 2 jurisdictions instead of just 1 jurisdiction. As well, by studying this, I found that it gave me new perspectives on the law, which I wouldn't normally get by studying 1 jurisdiction. So that was one of the main reasons I chose Strathclyde. The other reason was the law clinic, which is currently one of the top law clinics in the UK, which is really exciting because that would give me the extra experience while I was in school that I wouldn't necessarily get at other institutions.
Could you tell us a little bit, have you been working for the law clinic this year?
Yeah, so I've been a project worker this year with the law clinic. So I've been doing the IAC, which is the initial advice clinic, which is held twice a month, and the online project work. So that's where we get online inquiries coming in. It goes through a supervisor, it comes to me, I do the research, write the letter, take it back to the supervisor before it gets sent off to the client. So I found with these 2 projects in particular that it's been really helpful in furthering my education with the law, but also getting hands-on experience and learning how to deal with clienteles and really just getting that extra experience to coincide with the education.
Sounds like a great opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the next question. Postgraduate degrees can be intensive. I'd like each of you just to talk a little bit about your kind of normal week. I know that you might not always have normal weeks, but and sort of the workload involved, how many classes you've got, seminars. I appreciate you're all doing different courses, so it might be slightly different. So if you could just tell us a little bit about a typical week.
Okay, so like a normal week for me was actually quite laid back because I had classes only twice a week, and then they were also quite spaced out. So all our classes were on those 2 days. So we had the rest of the week off to sort of work on the stuff that was given in that week. So especially like we had them on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So after the Thursday, we still had like 4 days to sort of work on the stuff that was given, and then you're back to doing stuff. So that was a typical week for me. Apart from the short seminars and the workshops that we did, they were quite intensive, but that was also spaced out over 3 months. So that was quite good.
And did you have any placement element of your course?
Yeah, so we had a placement which was, so we had a choice of what sort of a placement we wanted to do. So, but both of them had like, I think it was once a week that we had it. So that was also, you had a preparation time before. So you met your supervisor or someone else and you prepped with them for 2 hours, 2 days before, and then you went on to do it in the next 2 days. So yeah.
Great. What about you, Brian? What's a typical week look like?
Oh wow, I had 4 classes in a week. So that meant Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday we had classes, and then we had an off day on Friday. So basically in a typical week meant going to class every day, most important, the classes were in the evening. So that was actually the main difference with other postgraduate LLMs. We had our classes in the evening. And then actually it was a good blend, because then we had workshops in between the classes, and not in between the term semesters, from various departments that interlinked all the courses that we're doing. So if you're doing an LLM in human rights law or sustainable development law, you're both drawn into these conferences and you took part in them effectively. So it's quite an intensive process, I would say. Yeah, so, but it's manageable and nothing is insurmountable in terms of what can be achieved for time management.
Great. And you, Jessica, what's a typical week look like?
A typical week for me would coincide with lectures and tutorials. So my first semester of my first year, I had 4 classes, and then tutorials to follow. Second semester, it was 3. And then the summer courses, it was another 3. So my week would basically be, I would have lectures twice a week, and then following with usually an hour or 2-hour tutorials. So it was pretty evenly spaced out. I usually had at least 1 day a week, if not 2, which was nice. Those days I usually spent doing readings, tutorial work, prepping for the week. So it was nicely spaced out. Like, I found that it was a lot during the week, but I had enough time to do it.
Great. And have any of you managed to do any part-time work at all during the course of your study?
Definitely. So in fact, with my placement itself, we had like an option of sort of working for Strathclyde for a while. So I did the Stress Busters one. Brilliant. So because I did the Stress Busters, I had like the option of working part-time for Stress Busters. Great. So I could choose. So I did that for like 1 month. So 1 session of the Stress Busters I did apart from my own. So that was part-time work for me. But apart from that, also I've worked part-time and it was quite good for me. It wasn't that bad.
Yeah, great. What about you, Byrne? Did you manage to fit in some part-time work?
Yes, I did work for the Center for the Study of Human Rights. I still do some research for them, but it's sort of an interlink with what the program is. Sure. So those who are interested can join on board and have research. So that is what I got involved with. It was quite a good experience. And yeah, I was a student ambassador, so that's also some aspect of work that I did.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So I did I do the student ambassador position. So that involves blog posts, emails, doing things like webinars, just answering students' questions, which I've found has been a really great part-time job to have. I find that it's not very time-consuming, which is nice. I also worked with the Alumni Fund, which was kind of great. Okay. So I did their telethon campaign for 2 campaigns, and it was really great because it was 6 weeks, and it was usually 3 shifts a week. I mean, it was 3 hours during the week, so twice during the weekdays, and then usually it was a 5 to 8 hour shift on the weekends. Okay. So it wasn't a huge commitment of time, but I found that I made some really great friends through that. I found that it was just enough hours to have some money in the bank, but also still have time to manage all my schoolwork and stuff. So
perfect. Sounds ideal.
It was very ideal because it was done right before exams were starting, so that way I didn't have to worry about letting my employer know, when I could work and when I couldn't work. Sure. So
okay, so lots of students ask us this question: how have you managed with the Scottish accent?
So my friend was over here a year before I was, and she told me, she said, be forewarned, you're gonna have to pick up the Scottish accent. I thought, I'll be fine. And when I got here, it was a lot of me going, I'm so sorry, what did you say? But I found that after coming back over a couple times, it's a lot easier to pick up, but the first time, it's a little difficult.
Did you have any techniques to help you understand, or to?
I think it's just getting used to it, really. Like, I have some Scottish friends and some English friends, and I found just having conversations with them really helped. But I think, it's just getting used to it. I had to Google words quite a bit too, both for legal and Scottish words. Okay. But, I found that the common words were Q, quid, we, like those were the common ones that I really picked up on fast.
Good. Brilliant. What about you, Vedika?
So most of my classmates are Scottish. Okay. So that's how I just ended up picking words from them instead of, so it wasn't that bad for me because I had it every day.
That's good.
All my
I can actually hear a
lecturers-
little hint of a Scottish accent. So
Yeah, I've just picked onto it for some reason. And I think all my lecturers were also Scottish, and then one of them was Irish. So
okay.
I just ended up having so much of a blend that I think the more you be around them, you realize that it's not that bad. So I think it was just the first week when you were like, okay, I don't understand what you're saying, but you get used to it pretty quickly.
Brilliant. Really good. And what about you, Brian?
Wow, what did I say? It's within the first weeks of being in Glasgow, it may be quite difficult to understand. But then as time progresses, you get used to the words, how people speak. And for me, I think now I'm quite used to that. Initially, it was quite a bit of a challenge, but then I found myself just moving along, and right now I can understand quite a lot of what's being said. And yeah, it's quite common for me right now.
Any other words that you've picked up? Anybody?
The other word you said.
Q and quid.
Quid.
Yeah, because a lot of times, because I would just say pound. People are like, oh, that's 3 quid or something.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, so let's have a little think about student accommodation. We have a huge variety of different accommodation here in Glasgow, which is wonderful for students. Can you tell us about the accommodation you've stayed in, how you found it, how you went about actually securing the accommodation, and if you would recommend it? So I'll start with you, Jessica.
Yeah, so I actually stayed with Strathclyde accommodation. So I stayed on residence in campus, which my thought process with that was that I'm in a new country, I'm in a new city that I don't know. I was like, I'd rather stay on campus, and that way I know where everything is. So I did that, and honestly, I could say it was the best decision I made. I ended up being in a flat with a lot of international students. So a lot of them were on exchange. So I had a flatmate from France, Spain. I had one from Norway, one from the States. I had another 2 from the States, another Canadian stay with us over the course of the year.
Okay,
and I can say that we definitely became very, very close friends. We did a lot together. I think partially because all of us were navigating a new city together, which was really cool. But also the fact that we all kind of felt out of our comfort zone as well. So it really brought us all together. And I have some of the most amazing memories with them. So I can say if you are able to stay on campus, I think it's a really great place to stay. The accommodation was great. The accommodation office was wonderful. So it was a really easy process for me to do.
And how was the price? Did you find the price?
I found the price really reasonable. Yeah, I stayed in Birkbeck Court, and the price was really reasonable because I was looking kind of outside of Glasgow too, and I think I paid about £106 a week, so it wasn't extraordinary.
Does that include your bills and your Wi-Fi?
So that include like water, hydro, Wi-Fi, and I was right by the library too, so that was really nice. So the only thing I had to worry about really was food. That was it. So
brilliant.
Yeah.
Cool. And what about you, Brian?
Oh yeah, I also stayed in the student accommodation, and like she said, it's quite a good experience. First of all, somebody who came at night, I arrived in Glasgow at night. I didn't know where I was going to, but then because I'd pre-booked, it was quite an easy experience for me because I knew where I was heading to. It was right brought to the accommodation, and then there's a student assistant waiting for me, so it was quite an easy process to get in. And yes, I also blended it in with my flatmates. I had a flatmate from India. I had one from Algeria, and I had one from Sri Lanka. So it was quite a good
truly
mix.
International.
Yeah, it's a truly international mix. And once you're an international student, you probably expect to meet other international students, and that's a homely feel you get when you arrive, and then it gives you the energy to start the process of studying.
Sure.
And to me, that was quite a good thing. And yeah, for somebody who will want to come and look for an accommodation, I would recommend a student accommodation for one. When you're coming here, you're new. It will help you settle in as fast as you can, because then you are a group of students are probably studying the same school, and probably you even find that you're in the same course. So that would be actually a good thing.
Yeah. Okay. What about you?
Yeah, so I lived in a private one because I wasn't very sure of what I was doing, and then I knew another friend of mine was going to be there. So that's how I just ended up booking that one. But then it was quite good because I had like similar experiences, because I had one Turkish flatmate, one Polish flatmate, and 2 Chinese flatmates.
Okay.
So it was quite a mix. And then because like it was a private one, we ended up going to a lot of the other ones. So we had friends literally all over. It was just easier to sort of get around with things because you always had someone who would help you out with doing stuff. So yeah, like we had people down there as assistants in the beginning, and then during the freshers week we actually got to know everything really well, especially with the union, the Strath Union. So I was there, and that was when I was like, okay, I do not need to worry so much. So that was when it was good.
Okay, that sort of leads me on to the next question. Can you tell us a little bit about student life here at Strathclyde? And obviously, for students who are not aware, Strathclyde University is based right in the heart of the city. It's literally 5 minutes from the city centre. So if you could tell me a little bit about your sort of the student life and what Glasgow's got to offer for students. If Jessica, if you could start, that'd be great.
So the student life here is fantastic. I grew up in a small town, so going to a city, I've been in a city my undergrad. I was in Halifax, Nova Scotia. So I've been in a small city, but Glasgow's a much bigger city. So it's really quite cool because you have the heart of Glasgow, which is like Merchant City. So you have a whole bunch of things to do there, whether it's going to a pub or, there's new activities all around George Square. There's a huge market in George Square at Christmas time, which was really cool to see. Or going down to the West End, down at the West End, you have the Kelvin Grove Museum, and you have a bunch of other places to go and explore. So there's always something new to go see in Glasgow, and in the city itself is quite remarkable.
Cool. And what about for you, Vedika?
Yeah. I think it was great because all our buildings are so placed out in the city centre that every time I went somewhere, I was like, oh, that's one place I haven't been to. So I think that was really easy for me to like get around with things. And then going up, like Jessica said, to the West End. And then I think the Kelvin Grove Art Gallery and the Clyde. So the stuff that happens right across. So, and going for walks, that was really nice, I think. So that was something I did a lot. Go over the bridges.
Great stuff. Brian?
Oh, it was fantastic, as Jessica said, and Vedic. Within my first month, I was able to, get around places in town, but basically just within the town. So everything is close by to the school and to the accommodations. So as a student, it's quite a good time to also move around and see the cities, but also means you're within your area of accommodation and the school environment.
That's great. Let's focus a little bit on the sort of resources here at Strathclyde. How have you found the resources and services, for example, the library or the sport facilities? How have they been, and how do they compare with your previous university experience in your own country? So if you'd like to start.
So I think the library is something I've used extensively because I've been like studying there, and then because you have those multiple zones of, that is like your group study, and then you have your own silent study and all of those things. So I used to generally be in the silent study zone like right through the night during exam time, and it was.
So is the library open during the night?
Yeah, so it's open 24/7 during exams, and like right before and after as well for a while. And I think the silent study zones are really good because you just have your own personal space. You don't need to carry your laptop around every single time because you have like PCs on every single floor. And then it's just easy to grab onto whatever books you need and then just put them back there. So you don't need to actually worry about, loaning a book every single time. And the e-resources that we have. So I think most of my journals, I got them online. I didn't have to bother about, I need to go look for something. I just had to put in keywords and I just got everything quite easily. I also used the sports facility for a while, and then now we're down to redo it. So it's shut right now, but I think it's going to be better now, I'm guessing. So I used it for the first 6 months when I was here. So I used the gym and the swimming pool and things. So that was quite good. Yeah.
What about you, Brian? How have you found the facilities?
The facilities are quite good, as she said. For me, it was a blend of both. Apart from using the library extensively, I also utilized the gym extensively. So it was a good experience. And for quite an affordable price, a student can get registered to the gym. It's quite open even at night for flexibility for those who leave the library late and go in and do some workout and just freshen up your mind to just get back to study. So to me, it was quite a good experience. It's one that I will advise for somebody to go seek for if they're around as a student in Strathclyde.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I agree. Like the gym was really great for someone like me. I like to continue doing exercise, especially during study time, because you get stressed, you worry about things. So I think, like they point out, the gym's really great. The library I fell in love with the moment I saw it. my library was good in my undergrad, but it was kind of like, it was a square, and it had a bunch of floors, and there wasn't a lot of open space to it. But this was nice because, like you said, it was open 24 hours during exam time, which is really great. Like, I've met my friends there at 1 o'clock in the morning, and I've studied. When you can't sleep, go and study. Yeah. And the online resources, like the database that they have with Westlaw and Lexis in particular, are really great for law students. The journals on there are really fantastic. I mean, I'm always able to access cases, whether they're international cases or English and Scots law cases. Within our first week, the introduction week, we actually had a library tour, and we did an exercise to navigate where we could find everything and how to properly navigate the database, which was really great. And the library staff have been really great as well. Printing stuff at the library is really easy. Getting stuff found at the library is really easy. So I just find that everything is very easy to access. And like you were saying with resources as well, the biggest resource I used was actually my PDA, which is a personal development, which you get in the law school. So in your introduction week, you get a PDA, and they're there as a support, whether or not you want more feedback on assignments, or you need to talk about concerns, or whether you they check in with you to see how your semesters are going, which I think is really great. Mine's been super supportive. Whether I email them quickly and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have a question, like, do you know when exam schedules are coming out, because I'm trying to book a flight home, or whether it's just to tell them about concerns with an assignment that I had. They're always there to support the student, which I think is really quite great.
That does sound really good. Okay, so let's think a little bit again about Glasgow and Scotland. Where else have you visited in Scotland? And what's your favourite place? So I'll start with you.
So I think I've been out way too much.
Okay.
That's because of my course. They gave me a lot of freedom. So I think I went to Isle of Skye. That was the first place I went to. It's really beautiful. I was unfortunately there in a storm.
Okay.
But it was still very, very, very pretty. And then I went to Inverness, Aviemore and Inverness. So those are just to see the Loch Ness as well.
Did you see the Loch Ness Monster?
Yes, of course I did. Yeah, I was just so fascinated about it. So I was like, okay, no, I need to go do that. So I was there, and then I think I also went to like a small place right outside Glasgow. It's just like 45 minutes. It's called Campsie Glen. Yeah. So there, and then the distilleries at Glencoe, because that was very easy to go to. So yeah, that was just like a day trip in and out. But yeah, I think my favourite would be Inverness, because it's such a quaint little town. So yeah.
Great. Sounds like you've had a good time. What about you, Brian?
Oh yeah, I've also visited a couple of places. I went to Inverness, and then I took the Harry Potter trip. I think that was my first semester.
Oh, amazing.
I was quite really into that, and then just got on board to see what's happening. But I've also taken trips outside Glasgow, to Edinburgh, Lomond. So it's quite a dandy too, just to see how the environments are, just to influence my interaction. And yeah, it's been a good experience. One that is quite enjoyable. Certainly, I'm going to visit more places while still here.
Brilliant, really good. It looks like you're taking full advantage, so that's great. And what about you, Jessica?
So I've been to a couple places. I was a huge Harry Potter fan coming out here, so of course my first stop was Edinburgh. So I went to Edinburgh, and I saw everything that kind of inspired Harry Potter there. But also Arthur's Seat in Edinburgh is a really great trip to do. Yeah. It's like I did a climb up there with my flatmates, which was really great. We had a picnic on top. It was a nice day. Lovely. It was beautiful. I went to the Glenfiddich Viaduct, Loch Lomond, Fort William. Those are all beautiful places to see. I have a whole blog post on places that inspired Harry Potter or that were in the screen. So if people want to see more places in Scotland, they can check that out. Also, as well, this was in Northumberland, but Alnwick Castle, which is really easy to get to. They actually did some filming of other movies there, such as Elizabeth, Downton Abbey, the first two Harry Potter movies. So, I mean, it's kind of a cool day trip to do. And as well, Stirling. I'm a huge Mary Queen of Scots fan. I did an undergrad in history, so I did a lot of English and Scots history. So seeing Stirling Castle, was quite breathtaking. Sterling in general is really cute. And there's so much to see, and it's really easy to get there. Like, trains are super accessible, and subway. So going to the West End, I would have to say my favorite place though is probably Edinburgh, just because the city is beautiful. The buildings are absolutely breathtaking. It's easy to get from one point to the next.
Sure.
And there's so much history there. Like, we did the Southbridge Vaults tour there, which was really cool. And if you're a Jekyll and Hyde fan, I totally recommend it. But it's really cool to see this history come to life, because Canada, we're such a newer country, you know, we're only 151 years old. So to see all this history is amazing to me.
Definitely. So one final question. Just if anyone is watching live, please remember you can send us some questions. We've got another 5 minutes to go. So my next question, obviously Strathclyde is a leading international technological university. We have students from around the globe. Can you tell us how you found working with students from a wide range of different cultures and backgrounds, and how that was?
To be honest, with my course, because it was just 30 people, so it's
quite
very
small.
tiny. So it was not too many international students. There were barely, like, so 3 of us from India, and then we had someone from Thailand and one person from Malaysia.
Okay.
But it was actually quite good because we integrated really well with the rest of them. So it was not like someone was from somewhere else, and then I got a lot of help personally because I didn't know initially what was expected when I was doing my assignments and stuff. So it was good to have people who studied here at Strath before.
Sure.
So I got
you had a lot of support from your peers.
Yeah, I had a lot of support from my peers when it came to those things, because I was actually lost at one point and I was like, I have no clue what's happening. But yeah, they were really great. I think I wouldn't have gone through without them.
That's great. Sounds really positive. What about you, Brian?
My course, was a mixed blend of students from all over the world, I would say. We were roughly about more than half of the course were international students. And then we also had Scottish students.
Mm-hmm.
And more interestingly, most of them had done their LLB here before.
Ah, brilliant.
So they could guide us through what was expected, what was needed, even before we had to approach the lecturers. So to me, that was a good interaction. But also within ourselves, we also did share a lot with them about, our previous courses, how we viewed things in life, and how, we sort of interacted back home. That sort of helped us integrate a lot with our fellow colleagues. And yes, so the international community is quite a good one to interact with, and the student community is quite diverse.
Mm-hmm.
You don't miss anything in terms of your cultural affiliation. If you want to affiliate to any sort of group, we find that here. So it's quite a good mix of people, and it helps one as an international student just integrate easily to the process and just into the courses too. Yeah,
sounds good. And what about you, Jessica?
I didn't find the culture here like too different from Canada. Sure. One of the biggest things was that, like, we have Thanksgiving back home in North America. They don't over here. So sometimes it's really hard to find pumpkin puree or pumpkin pie. So what we did was my flatmates, we had an American person from Norway, one from Spain and one from France for a semester. So what we did was we had like a Thanksgiving in our flat. So we all made something. Some of them had never tried gravy before, so we like introduced them to gravy. Yeah.
I can live without gravy.
To gravy. We had my flatmate from Spain, she made sangria. We like all made something, which was really great. And it was just, we had such a lovely time. We did a couple of those in second semester too with my other flatmates. So we just had like a couple brunches. And it was just really cool because we got to tell them new things about us as a country. And, even some of my American flatmates like didn't know that we said Z or Z. And Yeah, so I found that was a really good way. We met a lot of people through Erasmus as well, because living on accommodations, you meet a lot of Erasmus students. So I did meet people from all around the world, and I think that was really cool because I now have connections to people from all around the world. So if I ever want to go travel somewhere, I know someone there, which is really
very useful.
Good. And I'm so thankful for that experience, because I think that's what really makes it, is the people that you meet and the people that you interact with. It really makes your experience that much more great.
Brilliant. Okay, we've only really got about 2 minutes left. I'm going to ask you all if you could give 1 or 2 pieces of advice to our international students who are just in the preparation of preparing, and they'll be coming over in the next month. What 2 pieces of advice would you give them? Jessica, you start.
The first one, which is I think the biggest one, is say yes to everything. I know it's going to seem busy, it's going to seem chaotic when you first get here, but say yes to everything. Get involved, really do everything that you possibly can within your program, because you're only here for 2 years. So just do everything you can, because it's going to be a great 2 years. And the second advice I would have to say is, it's going to be a hard one, but try not to stress. That's inevitable. Stress is inevitable with students, but just take a deep breath, relax, go do a day trip or something, because you're in Scotland. It's beautiful here. So doing a day trip and taking a breather from the city is really great. So whether it's going to a museum or it's going to Inverness or Loch Ness, just try to get out there and see everything.
Brilliant, thank you.
Yeah, I think I'll start with the first and the foremost one, which please travel light. Do not bring anything. You get everything here. As one of the biggest things. Even when I was coming here, I was like, I don't know if I'll get this. I don't know if I'll get that. But you get everything. You just have to look for it. So just come with like 2 pairs of clothes and you'll still be fine. It does get very cold here during winter, but it's equally beautiful. So just enjoy that biting cold.
Great.
For anybody thinking to come, the first thing is ask. Utilize the student ambassador service. Try and ask questions from the student ambassadors, how you can fit into the school, the environment, and just the course. Once here, also ask how you can integrate with the rest of the community, ask how the courses are going, and just ask how everything is to help you easing as a student. Those are my pieces of advice.
Great. So we've had some really good advice and some really good insight from some of our current students. So I'd like to thank all of you for coming along today and spending some time answering some of the questions that our prospective students have given. And I'd like to just thank everyone who has joined the webinar today, or if you're listening to the webinar afterwards. So thank you very much.